my office space that I was doing 5 years ago, shame on me. There's too much good technology out there that I need to be tapping and using in everything that I do today so that my work is more efficient and effective. And I need to be doing the right things. I've got to be figuring out what is it in my environment that I need to be doing differently. Because I can tell you, what is happening in our communities today is drastically different than what was happening in them 5 years ago. What's happening in our cities and counties today is very different than even 2 years ago. And if we're thinking about our services and we deliver our services and programs in the same way, then we're doing the wrong thing. So our challenge is be doing the right thing and doing it the right way. How do we do it? And that comes to the second word in today's session. We innovate. And I can't think of a better way to innovate than bringing people together in a room like today. Now, this is a unique circumstance. We can't get together like this every day. But you're interacting with one another all the time, within your library systems, within your community and your regional libraries, within your neighborhood branch libraries. It's important to be having conversations with one another always about what needs to change. I love this meeting today because you're bringing people together from around the state. Make sure you're tapping your colleagues outside of your systems, because you will learn something slightly different than they are doing in their system that may not be something you can directly borrow or steal, but it could be something that you can slightly tweak and will move you a little bit further along. We have to innovate. It's our future. If we stay where we are, we're going to be run over. The last thing I want to talk just about very briefly is leadership. I loved it that Felton asked us what our favorite leadership books were and our favorite leadership quote. Honestly, I struggle because I've got a lot, and I bet you have a lot too. One of the things I want to say again to all of us is that leadership is at all levels. If we look to just our directors, to our board, to our trustees, our branch managers, if we look at only those people who are traditionally seen as leaders, we are losing so much engine and horsepower that is there and only ready to be tapped. But we've got to own leadership for ourselves and encourage others to own leadership no matter where they are within the library system. And it's a challenge because it's a different way of thinking about ourselves and empowering ourselves. So again, I think having these leadership discussions are really important. I gave a quote of one of my favorite leadership quotes, but I'm going to just give you one other one, and this kind of comes out of a personal experience. And it's a little bit of a story on myself. I happened to be, this was way before the craze of Starbucks, I happened to be in San Francisco on a vacation with my son, and we're in the Italian neighborhood, North Beach of San Francisco, which was a really fun, lively, good fragrances kind of neighborhood. And I went into a coffee shop and had ordered a cafe latte, and then came to this beautiful marble countertop and started to put in some nutmeg or some other things at the time. Well, as I was pouring it in, I'm not quite sure what I did, but I really did it. I popped the top off, and within a second, there was condiments all over the place. And I was just so embarrassed, and my son was looking at me like, oh, she's done it again. The lovely man behind the counter looked at me and said, "It's a life. It's a mess." And I love that because, you know, what we do is messy. And we have to also give ourselves the room to be messy. And innovation doesn't happen in clean lines, and learning to draw yourself up and move into different positions within your library doesn't happen easily and cleanly sometimes, without risk-taking, without falling on our face, without making a mess over that counter in that lovely espresso bar. So let's accept it's a life, it's a mess, and keep doing the wonderful work that you're doing. And I am so pleased to be part of this wonderful fraternity and sorority. Thank you.
Okay, well, many of you who know me know that I'm from Vegas. And in Vegas, that means there must be some form of game of chance that goes on. That's why you see the spinning wheel right there. And you know, we are all librarians, and librarians don't like winners and losers. But in Vegas, we look at it as there are winners and there are bigger winners. So right now, what I would like to do is, Jim Crawford, give me a letter. F. F. If your library system or entity has an F in it, raise your hand. Okay, well, you win. Come on up. Well, that was simple. Everybody was scared. They didn't know what we were doing. Go ahead. Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. It's making me homesick. Number 3 is yours. That's what's known as the tease. So when we break up and going into groups and everybody has to give innovative ideas, we will give the best innovative ideas an opportunity to come up and spin the wheel. So that's what's the tease there. So, but we were going to move on and introduce our next speaker. And I'm really happy our next speaker was able to come here. And let me introduce to you Miss Dionne Mack-Harvin. She's the first African-American executive director of the Brooklyn Public Library, the 5th largest library system in the country. Ms. Mack was also the youngest director in the history of that organization, being named the executive director at the age of 34. She was named one of Crain's New York Business's 40 under 40 leaders. She holds a master's in Africana Studies and a master's of Library and Information Science from the State University